workshop, and I have to be there because I actually have something to work on, contribute with the Web3 Quilt, come talk to us afterwards. We're here. We do not want to, have you left out, but you're going to have to work during this lunch. So with that, I'm going to bring up our first protocol, our first proposal, which is Beacon Protocol, Phil McManus.
Thanks, Trisha.
You have 5 minutes on the clock. I'm going to say, look at Angela. Where is Angela? You're going to get, every speaker is going to get a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. And then we're going to go because people need to eat.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I'm Phil McManus, CEO and co-founder of Beacon Protocol. We're focused on, we think we can bring to the Web3 Quilt is building out a private data layer. One of the things that we've heard a lot of conversation about today is some of the challenges around data. Where is it stored? How's it accessed? How do you know where it came from? One of the things that will continue to remain a challenge we've all talked about is there's a lot of private and proprietary data that will be used by agents, whether that's your personal information or proprietary information that a business has developed that remains locked away in these silos. And data discovery will continue to be an even larger challenge. We've already seen a lot of things when we talk about how AI uses data around thinking about price discoverability, right? What's the value of that? This whole world of data being collected, things happen, and then someone profits really needs to change as we look at how agents and models will start consuming data at unprecedented rates. The way that we built things out with Beacon Protocol is really interesting, and we've done it in a way that is storage and compute agnostic data collaboration. So what we have the ability to do is allow data to be encrypted at its source. Provenance can go on-chain around where that data came from, as well as access controls. We also structure that data in a way that the data can be discoverable via the metadata. I think metadata is going to be an incredibly important part of anything around agent registries and how data is being accessed. But also, we need to know where it came from so that data creators can retain control of not just their privacy, but also monetization. And I think one of the other big things that we've really seen that's missing in a Web 2 world is there is really no concept of a read ledger, because once you have access to data, you can continue to consume it. Copy paste is very common. So how we see this, working, and I think an interesting thing to think about is not just around keeping private data and private compute, but also data minimization. So think about agents collaborating on a process where, let's talk about an agent booking a vacation for you. There's a lot of information that goes into that. They're going to go ahead and task in something like a flight booking agent, a hotel booking agent, and even a restaurant booking agent. All of those agents will need a lot of interesting things. They'll need both your personal information. So I consider it sort of a full and a limited set. Think about your passport, right? Will also need to be part of that. Your food preferences and that itinerary. This is all going to be happening in memory as agents collaborate across that. Well, does the hotel agent need your passport? Does the restaurant agent need your passport? Certainly not. However, to book that flight, you're going to need the passport information to put that in there. So there's a lot of interesting things that happen if you can control access to data and minimize it in a way that agents can do it without having humans directly in the loop. That's why we structure it in a way that raw data can go into our protocol. There's a few different things that happen. The first thing is when the data is encrypted, access controls, the encryption schema, and the access lever can go on any chain. So as we talked about, there's this question of should this all be centralized somewhere, or is it important for it to be able to be accessed across multiple chains? We see access to data being critical, that it has to be decentralized and available across multiple chains. So EVM and SVM compatible support around being able to decrypt that data, the ability to have metadata and indexing on the information about what's contained in the data without revealing the underlying data is an important part of a registry. And what becomes really interesting as well as we think about storage, we believe that there needs to be a world where data can be stored anywhere, yet have that provenance across multiple chains and distribution. And the way that that works is data can be encrypted in multiple parts, so you can separate those pieces of information in that process, like your passport, like your food preferences, like the itinerary that's being developed on that vacation that agents are collaborating with. And because it's done in a way that it's storage agnostic, this can actually lend itself to the challenges that we see around AI agents collaborating in memory and being able to also think about closing down the state of a memory and then bringing that process back up and that agentic collaboration process. Ultimately, we've designed this in a way that has a couple interesting things. One, we focused on primarily being an SDK for interoperability across Web 2 and Web 3, because as much as a lot of us are very deep keep a native into Web3 in the room. There's still a lot of things happening in Web 2, and we need to be able to bridge both of those. We also think it's important to abstract some of the UX complications like wallets, so being able to execute meta transactions is a great way to be able to do that. And also being able to have ways that agents can be able to execute this type of data transaction, being able to put those controls in place, but still allowing humans to remain in the loop by ensuring that any way that data is being given consent around how it can be used, things around thresholds of scores of agents. So for instance, I don't want an agent with a reputation score less than 100 touching my passport, but if you want to know my food preferences, all right, sure, I'll lower that down. Those are the types of things that need to be respected as our preferences as agents use those data without humans needing to constantly be in the loop. So thank you very much, Phil McManus from Beacon Protocol. Feel free to follow us on X, drop me an email, and there is a B in Beacon Protocol on that website. So thank you, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.